Blood trickled from Zoe's nose as cruel laughter echoed through the deserted hallway. In that instant she understood she had crossed a line from which there was no turning back. What was about to unfold would forever alter the pristine halls of Westmont College, an elite institution shaken to its core when her father, a man who had orchestrated covert military operations across 6 continents, his very name sending shivers down the spines of foreign commanders, learned of the months of torment his daughter had endured. The bully had no idea, but he had just roused a dormant predator, a man who had sworn never to take another life, yet whose tactical genius was poised to transform a prestigious school into a quiet battleground. Zoe Parker wiped the blood with the sleeve of her navy blue uniform, pulling herself up from the cold marble floor. At 16, she was the sole black scholarship student in her senior year at Westmont College, a storied academy that had shaped the children of Rivercrest's wealthiest families for generations. Her exceptional grades and remarkable aptitude for mathematics had earned her a full scholarship, something her mother, a nurse, could never have afforded. "Next time, know your place, scholarship kid," sneered Eason Bitley, the superintendent's son and captain of the swim team. His icy blue eyes held no trace of regret as he brandished the family crest ring he'd just used to strike Zoe's face after she refused to do his calculus assignment. Flanking him, his ever-present cronies chuckled. Black Reynolds, the mayor's son, and Marcus Collins, whose father owned half the city's commercial real estate, were part of the campus clique known as the Untouchables, privileged youths who seemed beyond the reach of any repercussions. "My dad will hear about this," Zoe muttered, the metallic tang of blood lingering on her tongue. Eason's mocking laughter filled the air. "Your dad? What's he gonna do, call Principal Harper? She plays golf with my father every Sunday." He stepped closer, his presence menacing. "Besides, no one's gonna take the word of a scholarship girl over the 3 of us. It's your story against ours." What he didn't know was that Zoe's father was no ordinary soldier. General Victor Bennett had led clandestine missions that would never be documented in history books. A whispered legend in the armed forces, he now served as a national security advisor. By choice, he kept his daughter out of the public eye, allowing her to grow up with some semblance of normalcy by using her mother's maiden name at school. As she trudged through the parking lot after the incident, Zoe noticed the principal's secretary, Mrs. Palmer, watching her from a distance. The woman quickly averted her gaze when their eyes met, another silent witness to the daily injustices that plagued the school's corridors. At home, in the modest apartment she shared with her mother, Zoe hesitated before picking up her cell phone. She had vowed never to use it except in dire emergencies. Her father had told her it was a secure line, nearly impossible to trace. Only for life or math situations, he'd said before leaving for his last mission. Her fingers hovered over the keypad as she weighed the consequences. The harassment had escalated over months. It began with snide remarks about her hair, her skin, her scholarship status. Then came the accidents, missing assignments, spilled chemicals in her backpack, deliberate exclusion. Today, for the first time, the abuse had turned physical. With her nose still throbbing and a bruise forming, Zoe made her choice. She typed a brief, urgent message. "I need you, Dad." Code Blue. In their family's private code, Code Blue signaled immediate danger, a crisis she couldn't handle alone. A reply came in under 2 minutes. "I'll be there in 48 hours. Do nothing. Record everything. Trust me." Zoe knew what this meant. Her father, the master strategist who had never lost a fight, was coming back. And when General Victor Bennett stepped onto any battlefield, even a social one, he left no opponents standing. If this tale of justice and retribution is gripping you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to follow the unfolding drama that's set to upend the power structures of Westmont. What will happen when one of the nation's deadliest soldiers discovers his daughter has been attacked by entitled teens who believe they're above the law? Keep watching to find out. The next morning, Zoe Parker stood before the bathroom mirror, her reflection revealing a harsh truth. A deep purple bruise shadowed her right eye, and her swollen nose spoke of the violence she couldn't hide. Her mother, Diana, head nurse at the city hospital, nearly collapsed at the sight of her daughter's battered face. "My God, Zoe, what happened to you?" Diana's fingers gently traced the bruises, her medical expertise assessing the damage with a mother's anguish. It was Eason Bitley, Zoe said, trying to sound nonchalant despite the tremor in her voice. He used that ridiculous family ring of his because I wouldn't do his calculus homework. Diana's face drained of color. As the hospital's chief nurse, she was all too familiar with the Bitley family. Gregory Bitley, the school superintendent, held sway over the hospital board. Challenging his son could cost her job in an instant. I called Dad, Zoe admitted after a pause. I used the emergency number. A heavy silence settled over their modest apartment. Diana and Victor had been separated for 5 years, their marriage unable to withstand the strain of his relentless military missions. "Are you sure that was necessary?" Diana asked, her voice laced with genuine worry. She knew her ex-husband too well. When Victor Benet shifted into tactical mode, nothing could stop him. "I've tried everything," Zoe explained, her voice steady but desperate. "I've talked to teachers, the school counselor. Nobody listens. The untouchables are shielded by their families." She held up her phone, displaying a chilling record of months of taunts, threats, and hateful messages. Meanwhile, in a private meeting room at Rivercrest City Hall, 3 influential men sipped coffee, their conversation dripping with confidence. Mayor Lawrence Reynolds glanced at his gold watch as he conferred with Gregory Bitley and Richard Collins, head of the Business Association. "The new sports complex is all but secured," Reynolds said with a smug grin. "With you steering the school board, Greg, and Richard handling the land deals, we're ready to break ground." "My son mentioned a troublesome scholarship student at Westmont," Bitley remarked casually. "Some girl named Parker, I think, the daughter of that nurse at the city hospital." "Diana Parker," Collins said, his brow furrowing. "She refused to fudge some medical reports we needed for the mall's insurance. Tough woman." Reynolds shrugged dismissively. "Maybe it's time to rethink the scholarship program. Westmont has always been for families who know how our town works." Back at Westmont College, Zoe kept her head down, heeding her father's instructions. Record everything, stay calm, don't draw attention. Using her phone, she discreetly captured footage of Eisen and his cronies bullying other students, cheating on tests, and even a teacher ignoring Marcus Collins as he scrawled racial slurs on an Asian student's desk. At lunch, something unexpected happened. A red-headed girl slid into the seat beside Zoe at the empty cafeteria table. "I'm Olivia Ramirez," she introduced herself. "Exchange student. I saw what Eason did to you yesterday." Zoe eyed her warily. "You shouldn't sit here. You'll ruin your reputation before you even settle in." Olivia grinned, unfazed. "I don't care about reputation. My dad's an investigative journalist. He taught me to spot unfairness a mile away." For the first time in months, a spark of hope flickered in Zoe's chest. Maybe she wasn't entirely alone. Later, in the hallway after lunch, the untouchables cornered Zoe again, unaware that Olivia was filming the encounter from a distance with her phone. "I heard you've been whining to the principal about me," Eason sneered, shoving Zoe against the lockers. "I thought we settled this yesterday." "I didn't say anything," Zoe replied, her voice steady as she recalled her father's advice to never show fear to bullies. "Liar," Black Reynolds snapped, stepping closer. "My dad got a call about some scholarship girl causing trouble. Who else could it be?" Unbeknownst to them, at Fort Chandler's military base, General Victor Benet was already setting a covert plan in motion. Pulled abruptly from an overseas assignment, he had assembled his most trusted team, former soldiers who would follow him without question. General Benet addressed the 3 men in a secure briefing room. "This isn't an official operation. It's personal." A digital screen displayed images of the Bitley, Reynolds, and Collins families, alongside financial records, phone logs, and personal data no civilian could access. "Our objective isn't physical harm," Benet said, his gaze as cold as steel. "We're here to expose the truth and dismantle the system that lets these boys hurt my daughter." His aide, Major Alez, raised a hand. "General, permission to speak freely. Are you certain about using military resources for a personal matter?" Benet's eyes locked onto his subordinate. "I'm not using official resources, just my network. When it comes to my daughter's safety, there's no line I won't cross." Back at Westmont, Zoe's phone buzzed with an enigmatic message. "Delivery arriving in 20 minutes. Be ready. OBB." Exactly 20 minutes later, a sharply dressed woman in a courier's uniform strode into the school's front office. "I have a package for Miss Parker," she declared, handing an envelope to the receptionist. When Zoe was summoned, she opened it to find a sleek, state-of-the-art smartphone and a brief note. "Secure. It's set up, destroy." This message. As she rode home, the new phone hummed with an incoming video call. "Dad," Zoe whispered, her heart lifting at the sight of Victor Bennett's familiar face, unseen for months. "I'm on my way, Zoe," he said, his voice steady but unable to mask the rage simmering beneath, as he noticed the bruise marring his daughter's face. "Before I get there, you need to understand something. What I'm about to do isn't about revenge, it's about justice." Zoe nodded, a mix of relief and unease washing over her. Her father went on, outlining precise instructions for the next 24 hours. "By tomorrow, Westmont College will be transformed, and those boys will learn that no one, not even with powerful parents, escapes the consequences of their actions." Meanwhile, at the sprawling Bitley estate, Izin received an unsettling delivery, a small, unmarked parcel containing nothing but a military uniform button and a cryptic note, "I'm watching." The following morning, Westmont College felt subtly different. Overnight, additional security cameras had been installed, not by the school's administration but by an unseen team working in the shadows. These discreet devices, invisible to the untrained eye, recorded every corner where privilege had long concealed misconduct. Zoe Parker walked through the school's entrance with a newfound resolve. Gone was the hunched posture of someone trying to disappear. She carried herself with quiet confidence, knowing she was no longer alone. Beside her, Olivia chatted cheerfully, seemingly oblivious to the curious stares trailing them. In the faculty lounge, Principal Harper convened an urgent meeting, her usually composed demeanor betraying signs of strain. "I got a call from Superintendent Bitley this morning," she announced, fidgeting with her glasses. "Someone's digging into our disciplinary practices. The Department of Education received an anonymous report detailing irregularities at Westmont." The teachers exchanged uneasy glances. Many knew what irregularities meant: years of turning a blind eye to the misdeeds of students from influential families. "We need to be exceptionally cautious today," Harper pressed. "Avoid any incidents, especially involving the Parker girl. It seems she has connections we weren't aware of." Mr. Matthew, a newly hired teacher, frowned. "Connections? We're talking about a teenager who was assaulted. Shouldn't we be focused on protecting our students?" Harper shot him a frosty glare. "Mr. Matthew, you may not yet grasp how Westmont operates. Certain families make significant contributions to our institution, and in return, we exercise a degree of flexibility regarding their children's behavior." In the school parking lot, a tall man with a military bearing pulled up in an unassuming black sedan. Victor Bennett wore no uniform, but his close-cropped hair and rigid posture betrayed decades of service. To any onlooker, he appeared as just another affluent parent visiting the campus. At the reception desk, he offered a polite smile. "Victor Bennett, I have an appointment with Principal Harper." The receptionist blinked, puzzled. "I don't see anything on her schedule, sir." Bennett leaned in slightly. "Perhaps you could check again. It's regarding a board position. Significant donation." The magic words worked. Within minutes, he was being escorted to the principal's office. "Mr. Bennett, it's a pleasure to welcome you," Harper said, gesturing for him to sit. "I must admit, your offer of a donation caught me off guard." Bennett's smile was polite but didn't reach his calculating eyes. "I prefer to personally vet the organizations I support. I'm particularly curious about how you handle cases of bullying, for instance." Harper swallowed hard. "Westmont maintains a zero-tolerance policy on bullying, naturally." Bennett opened a folder, producing several photographs. "Then I assume this incident from yesterday has already prompted severe disciplinary action." The images showed Izin striking Zoe. Harper's face went ashen. "How? Where did you get those?" "Let's just say I have my sources," Bennett replied softly. "Just as I have financial records proving the misappropriation of the school scholarship funds." In the school hallway, Eason and his crew sauntered toward Zoe's locker, their intentions unmistakably hostile. They didn't expect to find Mr. Matthew, the new teacher, standing there, his gaze fixed on the ornate ring gleaming on Eason's finger. "Everything all right, boys?" Matthew asked, his tone calm but probing. "Just passing by, sir," Marcus replied with a forced grin. "Funny coincidence," came a sharp female voice from behind. Vice Principal Chen, who had always seemed apathetic to the school's undercurrents of abuse, watched the group with an unusual intensity. "Principal Harper needs to see you, immediately." Inside the principal's office, they found Harper visibly rattled, seated next to a stranger whose piercing eyes sized them up like a hunter assessing prey. "Take a seat," the man commanded, his voice steady but carrying an undeniable authority. "Who are you?" Black demanded, his bravado faltering. "I'm Victor Benet, General Victor Benet, and you attacked my daughter yesterday." Eason's face paled as the realization hit. The military button, the cryptic note, it wasn't a prank. Principal Harper was just explaining how Westmont will be imposing swift and severe consequences, Benet continued. "My dad won't let this happen," Ison blurted, defiance masking his fear. Benet's lips curved into a chilling smile. "On the contrary, your father is rather preoccupied right now." He slid a photograph across the desk, showing Superintendent Bitley, grim-faced, in a meeting with federal agents. He's busy accounting for some financial discrepancies uncovered in his records. Mayor Reynolds and Mr. Collins are in similar predicaments. The office door opened and Zoe entered alongside Olivia. Her eyes met her father's in a quiet moment of mutual understanding. "Are these the boys who hurt you?" Benet asked, his tone softening as he addressed his daughter. Zoe nodded, locking eyes with Ison, her fear replaced by unshakable resolve. "You won't get away with this," Marcus hissed under his breath to Zoe. Benet overheard the remark and stepped toward Marcus, his presence towering. "Son," he said, in a low measured tone, "I've toppled regimes more sophisticated than your little suburban empire before breakfast. Don't test me." At that moment, the phones of all three boys buzzed in unison. Each screen displayed the same video, their fathers being led out of their offices by law enforcement, reporters swarming to capture every moment of their public disgrace. General Benet's meticulously crafted plan had closed its net, and the untouchables of Westmont learned too late that no one is truly above accountability. That morning marked a turning point for Westmont College. The hallways, once filled with the arrogant laughter of the privileged, now hummed with hushed conversations, as students marveled at the rapid unraveling of power structures they had thought untouchable. In a makeshift conference room, General Benet faced representatives from the State Board of Education. Spread across the table were carefully compiled documents exposing years of favoritism, embezzlement of scholarship funds, and a pattern of ignored bullying complaints. "This isn't just about Zoe's case," Benet stated, his voice carrying the precision of a seasoned tactician. "Dozens of marginalized students will finally have their voices heard. These records reveal a clear trend of discrimination," he continued. Principal Harper received at least 18 formal harassment complaints over the past 2 years, all dismissed when they involved the children of major donors. Outside in the central courtyard, Zoe watched as clusters of students buzzed with the latest news spreading like wildfire. Superintendent Bitley ousted and under investigation for fraud, Mayor Reynolds scrambling to deny involvement in a frantic press conference, and the Collins estate raided by federal agents. "Your dad's unreal," Olivia said, settling beside Zoe. "Everyone's talking about how he turned this town upside down in a single day." Zoe smiled, her fingers brushing the fading bruise on her cheek. "He always said strategy isn't about who's stronger, it's about exploiting your opponent's weaknesses against them." In the office of Vice Principal Chen, now acting principal following Harper's abrupt resignation, an emergency task force had been assembled. Mr. Matthews spearheaded a thorough overhaul of the school's disciplinary policies, while Chen signed suspension orders for Ison, Black, and Marcus. "The school board hearing is set for next week," Chen explained to Zoe and her mother Diana. "You'll have the chance to present your full account. I want you to know that Westmont is dedicated to transformative change." Diana Parker, still reeling from the whirlwind of events, squeezed her daughter's hand tightly. "I never thought we'd see justice delivered so swiftly." Meanwhile, at the Rivercrest police station, the patriarchs of the town's most powerful families sat in stunned disbelief, awaiting the end of their preliminary interrogations. Gregory Bitley, typically commanding, appeared diminished without his usual entourage of advisors. "How did he get those files?" he muttered to Lawrence Reynolds, who looked equally dumbfounded. "That data was locked in secure servers." "You still don't get it," a passing detective interjected. "Benet isn't just any general. For years he led intelligence operations that toppled dictators. Did you really think you could cover up an attack on his daughter and walk away unscathed?" At the Parker residence, Victor Benet sorted through his paperwork, outlining the next steps for Zoe and Diana. Gone was the ruthless tactician who had dismantled a corrupt system. In his place was a father deeply concerned for his daughter's future. The charges against the Bitley, Reynolds, and Collins families are just the beginning, he said. The real work now is reforming the school system. And for that, Zoe, we need your voice. My voice? Zoe asked, caught off guard. You have a chance to drive change at the school, Benet replied. The board is forming a student committee with real authority to oversee bullying and discrimination cases. You'd be the ideal leader. 3 weeks later, Zoe stepped onto the stage of Westmont's auditorium for the General Assembly. The bruise on her face had faded, but the ordeal had left deeper, invisible scars that fortified her resolve. Over 500 students watched in reverent silence, many of whom had never spoken to her before. What happened to me wasn't an isolated incident, her voice rang out, clear and unwavering across the auditorium. For years, scholarship students and minorities have suffered in silence while a system shielded their tormentors. Today, we usher in a new chapter for Westmont, one defined by equality, respect, and true merit. In the back rows, Victor Benet looked on with quiet pride. Beside him, Diana's smile was tinged with unshed tears. I never wanted her to see that side of you, she whispered, referring to the relentless strategist. She needed to know justice isn't just an idea, Benet responded softly. It's something we fight for, using every tool at our disposal. From that day forward, Westmont College became a beacon of educational reform. Isan, Black, and Marcus were sent to military academies where strict rules and real consequences finally taught them the weight of accountability. Their once untouchable families now faced lawsuits and the harsh scrutiny of public opinion. Zoe Parker's story is more than just a confrontation between a powerful father and an elite private school. At its core, it's a powerful reminder of the importance of speaking up against injustice, no matter where it happens. Whether it's in a classroom, a workplace, or any other corner of society, silence often protects the oppressor. Change begins when someone dares to stand up and say, "This is." If this story resonated with you, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. If you believe in standing up for what's right, consider liking and sharing this piece to spread the message further. Thank you for reading, and remember, your voice has power. Use it.